Joining me now, as he does each and every week, is Sky News Australia's media watchdog columnist, Gerard Henderson. Gerard, how are you?
I'm fine. Good to be here.
Well, glad to have you here because you have found an incredible moment on the ABC's own broadcast that we pay for where they are censoring, let's have a look at this, they're censoring the coverage of Erin Patterson because presumably they think it's a little bit too distressing for the poor triple murderer. What do you think about this?
Well, that was supposed to be coverage of the Australian's front page. So that was the photograph without the blur was the Australian front page. They saw fit to blur it. Now, this had all been resolved the previous day when 5 ABC managers had got together and said, essentially, you could run 4 shots, but you couldn't run 6 shots. So when the Australians came up the next day with 1 shot that you couldn't
One
run,
of the banned images.
one of the censored images, what happened was they showed the front page of the Australia and they blurred it themselves.
Wow.
And they said, well, Steve Carey was on and he said he blurred it, or they blurred, and they were praised for blurring it. But I mean, the reason was that, it was very embarrassing, but the reason was this would affect the convicted murderer's self-image and her rights to privacy.
She has no rights. She killed 3 people.
That's right. And the other point was the readers or watchers of ABC TV have got a right to see the photographs.
I mean, we had a bit of a discussion earlier in the show about it. I brought up Napalm Girl, and then there were other comparisons to these amazing photographs. Obviously, in that instance, that was the victim, not the perpetrator.
Yes.
But there is something journalistic about showing somebody the confronting reality of a situation. And that moment, these photographs, that's when her mask was off. It looks like she wasn't aware that she was being watched. And she took off her mask, and it was crazy. It was chaos underneath.
And it is an important distinction. I mean, if photographs of victims, they've got families, that's another issue. But photographs of people who've committed crimes, if they're being convicted of having committed crimes, they're perfectly legitimate. And also the ABC publishes a lot of those shots of other people. I mean, you can go back, they were showing shots, excuse me, people have been convicted who were later on acquitted. I mean, hostile shots, and no one objected about that. But this woman seemed to be protected and no one gives a reason why. But it took the previous day before this Australian thing came out, it took the ABC an hour and 5 managers to work out what to do. 5 managers got involved.
And presumably they had to buy the photos. They cost several $1,000s, and then they didn't know what to do with them after they spent the money. Absurd. Well, moving on here, we've got Bridget Brennan, and she features on here a little bit.
Yeah, she does.
We were talking about the Nobel Peace Prize and the reaction to Trump, but let's have a listen to what she thinks.
It's actually not that unusual for US presidents to be nominated. Barack Obama and Jimmy Carter have both received the top honour, but this also takes place in the background of some ceasefire negotiations. It's expected that Netanyahu and Trump will be discussing some of the terms of the truce while Netanyahu is visiting the White House.
Yeah, quite a stunning nomination from regarding 2 characters who, in many people's views, have not added much to peace around the world in recent years.
Well, what do you make of that?
Well, I don't think Donald Trump's going to get a Nobel Peace Prize because I don't think that anyone's going to give it to Donald Trump. But the point is that Donald Trump, I mean, Barack Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize just for being Barack Obama.
Is it, well done, you won an election, here's a prize, we're so happy.
Easy. But Donald Trump was involved in the Abraham Accords in the first Trump administration.
Yep.
And he's been involved in this negotiating between the Republic of Congo and Rwanda, which seems to have been successful. So he's certainly entitled to be on the shortlist. But Bridget Brennan just says, oh, no, I mean, you can't have him. But again, that's her opinion. I mean,
yeah, because people in Ultimo don't like him.
Yeah, but people watching the television program should be entitled to have their view. They don't need to be told what to do all the time. Trump's ruled out because you don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, she's also wrong. It honestly has nothing to do with what she thinks or what we think. It's the process by which they go about it. And he has been nominated. And you can argue that he has de-escalated a lot of tension in that region. And a lot of people have credited the way that he did dismantle their nuclear capabilities. I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that the jihadist nation was at 60%. Uranium enrichment, and we're sitting here thinking like, oh, that wasn't a good thing for him to destabilise that without having a single boot on the ground.
Well, the world's a safer place now than it was a couple of weeks ago.
That's all the argument you need. Now, dodgy Gaza death counts. We've got a grab here from lawyer Sari Bashi. Let's have a listen.
If the Israeli government were so worried about protecting people in Gaza, it wouldn't have killed more than 57,000 people in Gaza since October 7th, 2023, the vast majority of them women and children.
Gerard, your thoughts?
Well, Steve Cannoni was the presenter, didn't push back on this, just let it go. But that figure of 57,000, that's from Hamas. That's from the Gaza Health Authority, which is run by Hamas. And Hamas and the Gaza Health Authority don't distinguish between civilian deaths and combatant deaths. So in other words, if you're killing the head of Hamas, that's counted along with if a child's get accidentally killed by a bomb. Now, these are not comparable. So even the Washington Post in the United States is no great fan of Israel. But they now, when their reports, they now say, well, look, these are Hamas figures, they're untested figures, and they include both civilians and combatants. Now, the Israelis say that they've killed some 20,000 combatants, but this is not mentioned. So that view went to air on ABC radio without anyone coming back and actually querying it. But this woman who did this, I mean, she's an activist lawyer based in the West Bank, strong opponent of the Netanyahu government.
And it's a contested view, which is the main
contested
point.
view.
Gerard Henderson, thank you so much for your insights, as always.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate talking to you.